trying to say, but like there's a lot of layers to it.
Data's being collected now more than ever.
Oh,
I don't like imagine how much data's been collected, and you're way off, dude. It's way more than you think. Everything's being collected. This data is it's worth millions or whatever.
I mean, we're collecting so much data that people who are trying to train AIs are now accidentally collecting data produced by AIs.
Yeah.
And that's causing its own whole problems.
Well, this is they're scraping the internet, right? But like, there's other raw numbers that they're able to pull that they know is from humans.
There's another limitation to AI that I want to bring up. That in the context of computer science specifically, like asking AI to give you code, there's a limitation to how much you can ask it to produce for you. Like there's a limit to the scope that you can get it to work for you. Like for assignments that you write in class, this is something that you're expected to write in a week. It's a small program. AI can handle it. If you're asking AI to help you with a piece of code, it can handle it. But imagine, you use AI to give me the piece. How do I do this? 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 You make a full program. And then you make a product and you can sell it. It's like, hey, it was fully AI generated. I got away with it. But then someone's like, add this new feature. And how do you get the AI to add a new feature? You give them everything. At some point, even beyond just the literal character.
It's called vibe coding. So you're misunderstanding. You're like, oh, they have to add this feature to the code. No, you go, give me this website with this feature. So it throws the website away, makes a whole other website, and then adds that feature.
But it's creating the whole.
You have the whole website again.
But that's a website. A website is simple. Let's talk like
not the website, the whole thing again, but with the feature. Instead of rewriting the original, you throw it in the garbage and you generate
I
again.
guess I haven't used AI enough. Is AI
not vibing?
Well, is AI to the point where you can actually just say, give me a full, complete product, and it gives you a full, complete. Like, can I say, give me like a crappy iOS game that I can upload to the App Store, and it'll give it to you in full images, sounds, everything?
So it won't. Like, it will.
That's probably already a thing.
It will, what it will do is, first of all, it'll just try and peruse every which way, like in an if statement, and then start to make you install different dictionaries and different installers. So like you're constantly gonna have to pip install like some type of library, and you don't even know where it's coming from. And so like coming from a cybersecurity standpoint, there's two things, right? If we're doing this in industry and we want to work for a FANG company and we want to upload code to improve it because we got the job, you have already broken a policy on your work, and now you're gonna get fired because they can see inside and out of the network. And so as soon as you access that, they call it the goods, and you take it and you put it out on the internet, that's going to be seen. And so you're going to get fired for putting out source code onto the internet to get ChatGPT to render it. You could argue and say, well, if I change all the variables.
Do you think that's not happening currently?
Oh, it is. And
okay, but some of them are getting away with it.
No, they're not. Because there's so many ways.
I think the thing is you have to, some of them will know some security, right?
So I'm in talking about the networking component. So from the networking level, once you get a file, you can encode it, and then you can put a tag on it. And now if you have a network overlay, you can see when that tag exits the network.
Sure.
And so as soon as that happens, you're getting an email or a call.
Okay, but there's no workaround?
You could download it on a USB, but again, every computer in the network will be monitored. And so as soon as you put it in the USB and it exits your device, then that will be notified via a SIEM system, so Systems Information and Something Management.
I'm guessing if you're a person who knows a workaround, you're probably not getting AI to do all your work for you. You probably know how to do it.
Sure, but eventually, whoever knows the workaround can just start selling the workaround.
I think it's a whole.
So there's a whole industry for cheating in video games.
I get it.
You don't have to know how to crack the network to cheat in the video game. You just pay a guy who cracks the network to cheat in the video game.
Yeah, but then he's going to jail, and then.
Yeah, but that still exists. You're saying he's going to jail, but they're making cracks right now. So you're saying like, oh, like there's no way these guys are uploading old code,
I think
not
it's
just
two
a
different-
Chinese man that made a crack for him to cheat at work
I think
because
it's
they
two different
want.
levels of scale here, like breaking a video game, like, it's,
No one really
no one's gonna track you.
There's no
What do
investment.
you mean, dude? They are tracking them down as a big deal.
It's like, I mean,
It ruins the game, losing the company millions of dollars.
but I mean, like, if you're, but it's different for being in the being an employee of the company and using AI to cheat, and being an independent actor.
Okay,
who's
but like,
taking their own
when you
time.
get caught cheating, you just get fired, right?
And then so the
Then
other
you
thing,
just move
like,
on to the next company and you start cheating again? Like, what's happening? What is?
So-
You have a record that companies fill
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, but they're not allowed to talk to each other, technically.
Every job application you fill out asks, did you work somewhere before and were you fired?
Yeah,
Like, you have to say yes.
Yeah.
so like another portion of like using vibe coding is that, like the professor
California has
said,
laws against that, by the way.
everything you've already coded, or everything that like AI is going to code from an LLM has already been done. And so that means like attackers, like hackers, have already tried to peruse and exploit vulnerabilities within those styles of coding. And so you generate this constant loop of, it's a game, like that's why I enjoy the cyber, is you have code, and now I get an AI to just attack that code and find any type of vulnerability in it. And so that's what AI is
Wait,
going
hold
to
on.
generate.
AI is finding the vulnerability.
Oh, yes.
But AI is also writing the
Oh,
vulnerability.
yes.
Okay.
It's an
Well, can we
activation.
eventually fix the problem
So-
where it'll stop writing so many vulnerabilities?
No.
Because you're saying someone has to seek out the problem,
So,
so they're
like-
not visible right away, right?
Yeah, AI is fighting AI
So
currently. It's like a really nasty like thing, and it's really competitive.
Yeah.
But like Cloudflare, have you guys heard of Cloudflare?
Yeah, wherever you
Right,
want.
like has anyone not heard of Cloudflare? Okay, great.
explain it
So
here.
Cloudflare is like monitoring 90% of web traffic right now, and they have every single American-owned LLM. And so they're getting any kind of like input, output by these LLMs. And so like if someone is saying, hey, hack me this code, then yes. But if you use like things like Gronk, where they don't have like any guardrails on, Gronk will tell you how to do it. Like they will go, oh yes, if you want to hack into this vulnerability, then like this is exactly how you do it. But just don't use these like names, like don't use these variables. And so like there's still like malicious algorithms online and available. And so it's hard to like detect everything.
And you don't think these companies at FANG will at some point just give AI to their employees? Their
Well,
own internal
they're
version
using it to
perhaps?
like cut costs, so like using like RAG, you can like eliminate HR. So anything that's like heavily,
HR will be the first to go.
yeah, anything heavily text dependent that uses like a giant library of documents to refer to as like their job, that's gonna be able to be eliminated through chatbots and
Like,
RAG.
I know the hope is that like, hey, at a certain point, AI will not have like the technical understanding needed for the job. That's the dream and the hope that like, no, you're gonna have to know trigonometry, you know, there's no way AI is gonna be able to do trig for you.
I don't think that's the dream.
There's also a problem where it might be able to get to that point where it will do the trig, it will write the code, it will be boilerplate or bulletproof or whatever. You're like, right now the hope is like, no, it's writing really bad code, it's not gonna work out.
I think, I mean, the AI is going to keep getting better and better, but at some point we'll see a sea change, like a paradigm shift. Like, to go back to our calculator example, calculator used to be a job you could have. Like, but before there was electronic stuff, like, people would sit at desks with giant tables of numbers. And like, scientists would say, I need this giant equation calculator. And they would send it, and they would mail the equation, and you'd be told, just calculate. And now computers have eliminated that. But I think that's a complete paradigm shift. Yeah, those jobs disappeared because the technology got better. But that doesn't mean all mathematics applications, like,
No.
it doesn't mean mathematicians themselves have disappeared.
The original
It's the
calculator,
rote.
the original calculator had multiply, divide, and whatever. Current calculators have like graphing components and like statistical components. That before, when the calculator came out, they're like, no, you're fine, dude, it can't do cosine. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, eventually it can now do those things. So just like AI is not, let's say it's an early calculator.
Right, but I think an analogy.
I'm playing a real doomer here, but.
I think an analogy to that would be, it doesn't matter how good the calculators get, the mathematician, there's still gonna be space for mathematicians to come up with math, because mathematicians don't just do, like, they don't just calculate.
But what if?
A calculator isn't
But
going to
what
be,
if?
like, a calculator can't do research.
Not yet.
Like,
It's a matter of time till you have an LLM with a screen on it,
I mean,
and all wires from your brain. It's
bring it back.
trigonometry, I'm building a
Bring it back
3D
to
print in tower.
I know Don just came in.
You're never gonna have an
He's the
Would I introduce myself?
Yeah, please.
Thanks for inviting me. Hi, everybody. I'm Don Button. I'm a professor of designing digital media. I am not a programmer. I'm a visual guy. I'm the front end, as far as UI design, is as far as I go. Basic HTML, that's my level of programming. But I am also serving a first-time role here, 20% of my job this semester, and probably 40% of my job next 2 semesters is AI coordinator for faculty, working with faculty to introduce them to how to address the problem of AI in education and their English and history and writing classes, how to utilize it themselves in different ways to streamline their own jobs, a variety of all the big questions as far as what City College is dealing with and every other college in the world is dealing with. And so, I'll be honest, I wasn't even aware of the programming club. Nice flyer. And the agenda coming up for your next 2 meetings also. Really cool. So yeah, AI usage with education. At a faculty level, it's an existential problem because everything you're talking about AI out in the world, in whatever industry you're talking about, programming, medical, military, government, whatever, yeah, it's going to change. It's going to be a big shift. We know that. It's going to change. I mean, I don't envy your generation because you have no idea what the hell it's going to be like out there in 10 years, much less 5 years, much less 15 years. You know that, right? You all know that.
Very excited.
I'm not saying anything you don't know.
Looking forward to it.
We don't know. We have no idea. But right now in education, most faculty, all they care about is students are using ChatGPT to write their papers. And that's it. They don't care that in the job that you're going to go into, you're probably going to be using tools that integrate AI. They don't care that it can do all these great things for them even. They just want to make sure students are not cheating on writing papers or online discussions. And so it's a big part of what my job is trying to help them rethink how, well, either to make education or their courses AI resistant, make it more difficult to use AI to write a paper or answer a prompt, which is it's a whack-a-mole problem. If you know that reference, you fix one problem and another one pops up.
AI will just adapt to your.
Yeah, right. And there is a lot of really good research at university level, pedagogical research about how to teach differently and incorporate AI and still have critical thinking. That's just a big struggle that everybody's dealing with. Is because writing isn't really writing; it's critical thinking on paper. And if you don't do the writing yourself, you're not learning how to be a critical thinker. And as programmers, you know how important being a good critical thinker is, a problem solver. So anyway, that's my quick spiel about what I'm doing, and I just thought it was so exciting. It's I'll sit in and listen to hear what students are going with. A lot of what we've been working on, we have several students who are sort of advisors and tech advisor role students, so they've been really helpful. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yes, I just saw today in the news that Trump.
Yeah, we're talking about
Okay,
5-10 minutes ago.
Okay, so yeah, Trump signed that
Yeah.
starting from whatever 6 years old, you have to learn about AI.
Yeah.
Now, there isn't and China's already done that. And
This is,
there's
of
not-
course, after he's trying to dismantle the Department of Education.
Exactly.
So he says, the federal government shouldn't control education at the state level. And then he does an edict which bypasses Congress entirely.
And so that's why I preface this question with that, is because there's a lot of talk about AI but not a lot of understanding about AI.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm trying to ask too is, with Sacramento City and Los Rios Community College, although the goal is to have students cheat less, what is the goal? Right, like that's been a systemic issue prior to even AI.
Oh, we've been far, yeah, cheating
Yeah.
has always been there,
But
absolutely.
what is the goal of Los Rios College with this new initiative?
Great. So there isn't actually a district-wide initiative.
Okay.
They've been, at district level, they've been very hands-off to say, the 4 colleges, you figure out how you want to approach this. And that's a traditional approach to something that really, we're talking about how we teach. And so that's an academic freedom level thing with faculty. And there's also an academic freedom level sort of letting each college sort of drive their own thing or decide how amongst the faculty they want to approach things. There's a limit to how that autonomy at the different campuses manifests itself. But as far as this goes, the district is like, you guys figure this out, but you at least lead the thing. So at each campus, there's no unified thing even within the 4 campuses, right? And we're all sort of addressing, we're in touch, we're keeping in touch. The people who are addressing it in some manner are definitely keeping in touch and just sharing notes, I guess, right? The people who are mostly working on it with me and are active here at City College, I think mostly we've taken this idea that we aren't looking to create policy. So far, the only policies around AI are at that individual course level, right? The different professors who have written those policies or adopted policies within their classes. There's nothing at a program or department level. I think maybe the history department has a general policy, but I don't think that's pretty common in other ones. Tell me if I'm talking too much, because I'm getting too much into the weeds here. But so we're kind of taking the approach that we shouldn't be even talking about the word policy. What we should be talking about are guidelines. And that's just it might sound like a subtle distinction, but it is kind of important. It's like the policy is very prescriptive and often about the rules that you cannot break and how you will be punished, right? Where guidelines are much more open-ended, setting an idea about like, we want people, we need to accept that this is a thing, right? And this is my philosophy, and we need to understand how to use it effectively while still maintaining the level of rigor in the coursework and the assessments. The assessments basically is like how we grade you, right? Like what projects we do that we give points to and all that. So rethinking that within this new paradigm, that's at least our approach here is as an AI positive approach. It's not like all AI is good, but we can't approach it by saying all AI is bad. And there are definitely faculty here on campus who have taken a no AI use at all in my class rule to the point of even saying you can't use Grammarly. And part of my job is definitely to try to disabuse them of that being a good idea and dial it back a bit. Like for example, there's a lot of students who have AI on their devices or in their software. I mean, it's in Microsoft Word, it's in Google Documents, it's in Acrobat PDFs, it's everywhere. And to say that you can't use it is to say, guess we're just using paper and pencil. If you use any digital device, it's there, and students can end up using it without even knowing they're using it, or doing something with it there in the background and getting flagged as using AI when they really wrote it themselves. So there's a lot of it, yeah. So no hard line policy at this point, except for individual faculty in their classes. And we're going to try to keep working with faculty to have a better way of looking at that and try to help faculty figure out how to use it instead of ban it. One of those ways, one of those ways actually is that there are tools in Canvas now in the back end they're called Conmigo, it's from Khan Academy, and they're tools that are only teacher facing to help them, put in a paper and then let it generate quiz questions and answers, right? Do that, streamline to make them more productive. to give them, to save them time creating content and curriculum and assessments so that they can spend more time working with you face to face and building this. That's the philosophy there. It definitely is true. The more time you don't have to spend, writing new quiz questions, the more time you can spend working with students one-on-one. Anyway, so those tools are, so my approach or our approach to that is the more we can teach faculty to use AI that's built into Canvas for them as a productivity tool, the more they might start realizing, okay, they might become a little more open to the idea that they're going to have to accept AI on the other side.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there's something you said.
What's your name? I know you.
Yeah, I'm Gideon.
Gideon, right. I haven't seen you in a while, but yeah, I recognize you.
Yeah, I'm the advisor of this club.
Cool.
So there's something you said, about the use of AI in school versus, after you graduate, you're actually going to the industry. During our programming clubs, the speaker event that we had not a week ago, but last semester, there was one thing that really stood out to me. I noted it down that I wanted to bring up. So I forget exactly who said it. We had a bunch of industry professionals. I didn't note down who the specific speaker was. But they said, when asked about, how AI is being used in the programming industry, like, how do you feel about AI being used in education? They said, in school, you're learning. Once you're out of school, you're doing a job. And so if you're using AI, it's great for getting the job done, but it doesn't build your expertise. Right. And so I feel like that's where we're really butting heads, where the education system is butting heads with the world at large. Is that, teachers want to see the learning so badly that they're going so far as to just say, outright ban, you can't touch it at all. Because what we're trying to look for is the learning process. We want to see that you know what you're talking about. You're building your expertise. And once, if you're doing something on your personal time, or if you're, graduating, you actually go do the job, then you're actually doing the job. You use the tools that best help you to do the job. And if that's an AI that helps you save time, it's an AI that helps you save time. And so that's really, I think that's where this dichotomy is.
No, you've got it. That's the struggle.
Yeah, it's like,
and you say, this idea that we talk with other faculty, it's like, yeah, but we tell them we're using AI, and then we tell them they can't use AI. And one of the faculty said, half joking, was like, yeah, but we already learned. They're here to learn. We already know how to write an essay. We did that for years.
Yeah.
We got our degrees.
And
Yeah,
and there really is.
What if that's just a skill that's no longer?
I mean, and there is the distinction. Like I brought up earlier, like I have had students in my class who, they come to me just up front and they say, look, I saw your AI policy in your course. In my course, it's, if you generate an assignment using AI, you get a 0 because you didn't make it. But I have them come up and ask me, like, look, I use this tool to help me with like code completion, like just to finish code that I'm writing, or to give me little ideas. Is that okay? And for those, like what they describe, I say that's fine. Like you are using the tool to help you write code faster. You're not copying the prompt in and pasting it in ChatGPT and copying what it gives you and submitting that and hoping you get a good grade. Because the students who do that, week 1 the assignment is so small you get away with it. Week 2 you get away with it. But by week 6 or 7, like it becomes so obvious that you don't know what you're doing at this point. Like at that point, you need to have enough knowledge to be able to put a few things together. And not to say that students aren't trying to cheat, but if you take the laziest approach, you don't succeed. And so it's not about, at least my philosophy is, it's not about don't use AI at all. It's don't use AI as a replacement for learning.
Yeah, right, exactly. So one of the things we're working on, though, the way to get to this is really pushing the idea of AI literacy. That's where we really have to start. And there are a lot of colleges and universities that are way ahead of us Because they got research, universities have research dollars, and they can tell a professor, like, spend a year on this and not teach. You don't really need to do that. So there's a lot of good models out there to build on, and that's what we've been working on this semester. And we're planning, how many of you took the freshman seminar class in this 313, like in your first year? Only one of you?
I'm taking like a college success class.
What?
Like a college success class?
Yeah, it's called a success class. It's an interdisciplinary studies, 330. So it's about 1,000 new students take that class in the fall, or in their first year. And so we're building this module that'll be in Canvas in the first launch of this fall, where most of the students who are in that class, which is again, it's a college success course, what it's like, how to be a good student, how to learn, how to work with blah, blah, blah. That's things, all the resources on campus, all that stuff. So there's going to be a module there about AI literacy, about what it is, how it works, ethical concerns, and and what role does it play in their education and being a college student. And so we're hoping that that's effective, and that it gives a good sort of understanding of it. Because I think we really need to build that, exactly what Gideon just said. It's like, you can use it to help, but do your work, or be productive, but you can't use it to replace the learning, otherwise, what's the point? That's always the rule about cheating anyway, right? You're just cheating yourself, you know that. It's like you're not cheating anybody else, you're cheating yourself. How are you gonna be, do you want your dentist to have cheated his whole way through medical school, or your surgeon to cheat her whole way through medical school, right? Of course you don't want that. You don't want the plumber who's installing your toilet to have cheated on the plumber exams, right? Right. But then we go and cheat when it's convenient. It's a human nature issue, right? It's always been there. And so we're just figuring out a way to mitigate that and encourage students to learn how to use it effectively and ethically, and not unethically. It's a big battle.
So this is interesting to me, governance and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to kind of see both sides of it. And for example, for your example of the classroom with being able to really see by the 8th week, and that's because typically the AI will generate code that hasn't existed in the curriculum up until the 8th week.
Oh yeah, that's another big problem.
And so there's ways to mitigate these things though with AI, in the fact that you can technically whip up a program that can program, but only given the libraries that you tell it. So prompt engineering really matters. And so that's where it's okay, I see the benefit of a class for freshman seminar, but in the community college system, similar to with cyber, is cyber, there's a national certification a school can get in. CRC has it and Sierra has it. But part of doing that is that every department agrees to teach their students something of that. So in the case of cyber, it's HIPAA, it's whatever it is for law, and so on and so forth. So each department. And with AI, it's almost like the issues that we're saying are coming out aren't necessarily going to be helped by a freshman seminar class. If there's a lot of times for emerging students, there's people who transferred in, came from a different area, and so it misses that big bulk of people, versus having the departments try to go, okay, well, how does AI affect us in our micro ecosystem comparative to programming isn't going to have the same issues as English. Absolutely. And where maybe a introductory module should be present in prerequisite courses comparative to a freshman seminar where you might have such things practice.
That was a really impressive question. Very good. No, that was, you know what you're talking about. Talking about governance. You obviously know what's going on. Wow. Yeah, 100%. So the idea with doing it for the freshman seminar class is the beta test. Is it seemed like a good place to do the beta because of they're all incoming, and the idea that if you hit them there at that class, hopefully there's a long tail effect of them not having to learn ethics around it or learn why they should follow a policy in their history class and their biology class and their science. So we hit them there. But that doesn't mean that that's all once we kind of iron out anything, basically write a beta test, right? Yeah. This fall, as many of those sections as we can, and get all the feedback from faculty and some student feedback about what they thought of it. We can improve upon it a little bit in spring, and then in spring, or definitely by next fall 26, we could release it as a Canvas Commons module that anybody could put into their course. That opens up a possibility of duplicate, that you end up having it in 3 of your classes, so we have to manage how faculty can use it that way. There's as a model, the library has a pilot tutorial set of tutorials for our research and all the skills they use the library for. And a lot of classes might take, put that out there as like an assignment. But when you do it, when you finish the pilot, you get a certificate, a digital certificate. So if you've already taken it last semester in one class, you can just show that certificate to the new faculty or new class and get your points. And we can see that model being what we could do.
So the plan is to start introducing AI to all the new students?
AI literacy.
Literacy.
What is
like
it?
you're sort of going to be introducing AI.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Like
we're...
a chunk of these students aren't going to know that they can cheat all their classes with AI. You know what I mean?
Well, the point about literacy is that...
I mean, like, we better make sure they know.
Well, no, but to be certain, like, no, we don't want to talk about AI. We don't want them to know.
Yeah, because like that's the thing. Like you keep quiet about it for another year or two.
Right, and also we were just talking about how
a real problem.
I was just saying again in that last meeting. It's like, at what point in 4, 5, 6 years are we not going to have that?
Yeah.
They're already. Thanks.
It's gonna happen.
You know,
no
we're
matter
gonna get it all
what.
through
How many years
already.
can you keep the cat in the box or whatever?
Yeah. So we don't know. It's unlike any other problem that the education space has dealt with. I mean, the internet was an existential problem, but it was a slow build, and then they figured out how, okay, it's not bad, right? Calculators, digital cameras are an existential problem for photography programs, right? It's like, desktop publishing was a big problem for graphic design programs. We have to adopt the technology, but this really is unlike anything else. You guys know that. Because how exponentially fast it is developing. Calculators weren't threatening to take over the world. And by the way, that great analogy. Yeah, look up the origination of the term calculator. It was a job title. It's a great.
Yeah, it's calculator, like all the job, like baker.
A
person who calculates, not a thing that calculates.
Right.
Did you have a point in the back? You had your hand up earlier.
Oh.
Oh no. Did you?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask. Do you have in-person exams, or your class is it based on a curve, right?
Mine is not based on a curve.
Okay.
My in-person sections have in-person exams. It's something we're all struggling with, trying to figure out AI things. For a lot of reasons, my approach has been to make my exams lower stakes and reduce the total point value that they're worth in the course as a whole. Because first of all, that's just a personal thing that I've been focusing on because I know students really struggle with exams. I've seen too many good students fail exams. So with the lower stakes, that also reduces the temptation to cheat.
Or the impact of cheating.
Yeah, and the impact of cheating. So that's my personal approach, especially with online courses. I've been finding myself, every year, I look at the exams. I'm like, I can kick this down another percentage point of the total grade because I find the other work, the work that builds on some assignments and stuff, that always shows me much more about how students are doing than the exams. And really one of the few reasons I still have them in my course is because for every 5 students who have exam anxiety terribly, there's one student who really appreciates the opportunity to show off all their knowledge at once because they're great at studying but have bad work schedules and struggle with assignments. So it's a balancing act.
Oh, yeah. It's a real struggle to sort of balance, especially with AI, the in-person classes versus the online classes, because you're not there to see that they're actually, doing the work. You can in person.
in-person class.
Yeah, and
It's
with
across the board.
Yeah, with in-person classes, it's really not as much of an issue as not sitting in front of a proctor.
Yeah, you're making jokes. For sure. And, rate my students.
Read my students.
That's called great.
That's an interesting twist on it.
But, it's,
Well, yeah, for sure. I have the OMA model here, which is a free and open source model, and I'm gonna be using it for doing my vibe code, web dev. Like we had planned for the club to do the web dev, so if you guys wanna get started on, picking a model, I guess the idea is we're gonna go with picking a model.
we're just gonna talk about what should be on the website, honestly. That way we have some basic idea. If anybody else wants to build a website for the programming club, they could just submit their idea, but we would need, like, what needs to be in it?
I'm
You know, what can we even put on the website?
I'm thinking that we should all just like pick a model, let it, obviously let everyone know what model you're using, so we keep track of that, and then, yeah, just make a website, I think.
Yeah,
And then
what
pick a
you can say,
winner.
you can do both, it doesn't have to be AI, but if you could make one with AI, that's also pretty
I
cool.
mean, that's what we were gonna be doing next week, right? Was-
Right.
Yeah, well, one of the days
But, I
we're
mean,
gonna
scheduling
buy one with
stuff,
AI,
you guys-
and the other one we're gonna make by actually just doing it, right?
Right.
To see the difference, if you will. Well, probably it's better to make one actually and then try it with AI, once you have a better understanding, or is it better to try it without a better understanding?
It's probably better to get everybody on the same.
Well, what
page.
about this? We'll have somebody try to make one that don't know HTML and JavaScript, to see how far they get.
Like study.
And then someone who doesn't know, try to make one with AI and see how much further they can get. It's a fun little
I mean,
experiment.
if someone wants to take those options, right? I see one.
Right, but we should still decide on what should be on the site, I guess.
Yeah, that's something to be thinking about.
Use big.
Yeah, I'm just, so if you wanna get a head start, look at a model, maybe brush up on the HTML stuff and the CSS.
Hey,
I
yeah.
have to recommend it for the next meeting. And then, yeah, I'm on the OMA here, we were just asking some questions, I mean, what do you guys think about AI, like, like being a smart campus, basically?
Hey, does anybody have experience like making websites with AI, like off the bat right now? Everybody in the room? Please don't forget to sign in, we're trying to pump up our numbers.
Yes, I did, a front end, but it's like pretty poor, like honestly, using Figma is easier than like using AI.
What's Figma?
Like
Figma,
WordPress?
it's just like a
It's like Canvas.
canvas but for websites, yeah.
Canvas for websites.
I designed it out.
Canva.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a prototype.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's free for students.
Later, y'all.
Is that, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, any input on like, smart campus? Being of like something that should be promoted?
I mean, I think the smart campus technology isn't necessarily AI related. I think it's more so getting cameras for, we've got the one smart classroom in the business building, which is, it's got the camera hanging from the middle of the ceiling, and like you can set it up to like, for a presenter, it'll follow you around, and so you can have like, you can do it for like a hybrid course where you can have simultaneous online and in-person students. You're there lecturing, but people are following along remotely. I think that's more so what the smart campus thing is.
Yeah, there's also tools like we have on the Student Staff Resource Center where it's a big monitor screen, but it's also a touch screen. And so you could interact with it, or you can take it to whiteboard mode and draw on it, and then switch over and show your video, and then switch over and show Zoom or whatever. And so
Yeah, cause
that
I've
kind of
seen
technology.
a few people asking for those smart
We
boards.
definitely need a lot more. There are high schools in the Elk Grove district that have way better higher tech classrooms than we do. Because the high schools are funded in a whole different way. They do. Yeah, we need more of those smart classrooms, definitely.
You guys from the crowd, any input?
More smart
Yeah,
class.
you got any input there? You've been sitting in your class?
Oh, no, it seems like everybody's gonna be at home. It would be a waste of money to invest in these smart classrooms of yours.
Wait,
But
was it like
the
they're
bedroom's
investing
the
these
smart
two big new
classroom.
buildings here?
The bedroom's the smart classroom of the future.
Oh, you know, one thing I was thinking, with like the Zoom, recordings, and they're like, they record I mean, they do the recording for you and give you like a document, and then they like grade your,
Presentation.
your, like,
Transcript.
oh my god, what's the word? Like, people who, I was facing on the road, yeah, they grade the dialogue basically, and then they give you a grade on how good people were like excited about or like performing.
Oh, right.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of the word.
Yeah, I mean, the whole AI.
Engage.
Yeah.
They give you like an engagement grade.
Interesting.
So they'll be like, oh yeah, only like 60% or whatever.
So is it just like recording the people watching the presentation and then using one of those
Well,
things
there-
that are whether
there's-
you're smiling or not?
There's an AI
Yeah, it could
assistant,
be
yeah.
like if you're
Yeah,
smiling.
I mean, even when I was in school, there was tools like some of the advanced like lockdown browsers for like tests. This was like, I remember seeing some teachers experiment with them right as COVID was starting to hit, like super. I don't want to be rude to them, but I would call it like draconian measures to prevent cheating in online classes, where it's like you're taking a test, it's recording your face, and
Oh,
it's
yeah,
able
yeah.
to flag like if you say
It's
anything,
tracking
if
your
you
eyes,
look away,
if you look
if
away.
it notes a phone, like literally like tracking your eyes and
Yeah,
face
I
to make
remember the
sure
eye tracking.
that you're doing this,
Yeah.
and if you do any of this, it like flags it so they can go and see it. So and that was like before really anything was really talking about ChatGPT. So I imagine AI would make that feasible. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's even in existence yet, but
I was just hearing about the same thing the other day, just the huge controversy that the online proctoring, when we went fully online, that they instituted was, I think draconian is the right word, because the technology really wasn't good enough. And so there were people, like if you had a disability, right, and your body twitched, that would trigger that you were cheating somehow.
Yeah.
There were all these, I mean, the accessibility of it, and the inequity of how the software rated your behavior while you're doing a test,
Yeah.
just caused so many problems.
yeah, and I
And so many students have test anxiety anyway, and this just exacerbates that.
Yeah.
Because you're being watched by a computer.
and I think
So should we just do away with exams then? We should just get rid of exams. Only assignments.
Yeah, I kind of get a little text anxiety for
Very common.
And-
Like you said,
Yeah,
you
we
get
got the
excellent
exams.
students and do horrible on the quizzes.
Yeah, and I think that tools like that show off sort of the other side of the use of AI, because those tools, you know, we're only talking about students, like, being extremely lazy and using AI to avoid doing any work at all. But like, those tools, what they would do, like, they're recording a student's face, they're getting a recording, and then they flag the recording for the looking left and right. And a responsible, let's say they have an AI that does that, an AI that can, record your face and notes down all the stuff that you're doing. The AI's job is not to decide whether or not you cheated or passed, like whether or not you cheated while taking this test. The AI's job is to recognize and flag the stuff so that the professor can then look back at the recording, look at the flag moments, and determine for themselves. And so, if a professor doesn't do that, they look at your recording and see, oh, 2 flags, you fail. That's the professor using an AI or technological tool to be as lazy as possible and not do the real work. And so I think the reason,
Comes full circle.
the lack of AI literacy is we're concerned mostly with students because students outnumber the teachers by so much.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it can't happen both ways. That's where
we were saying in the meeting earlier, it's like, but we also need to develop an AI literacy program for faculty.
Yeah.
And the ones who are like, no Grammarly, it's like, okay, we need to teach you something.
Yeah, I mean, it's like rejecting the AI is, the ones who reject the AI, like, I don't accept the coming changes in the world is one
Right.
thing. And then there's the I'm only teaching online classes, I don't know any of my students' faces, I'm gonna lose all empathy and let the AI do all the work without checking it myself.
Yeah.
And the real world's always messier than, than we can note it down as. Yeah. Got any other good talking points up there?
Maybe, I don't know, what do you guys think? Anybody seen anything interesting here?
It's a lot, dude.
I mean,
Small too.
I will say all the AI stuff that gives me the most hope is a lot of the ones that are focused around accessibility, like AI tools to automatically generate transcripts for videos and stuff like that. Those kinds of, yeah, subtitles.
You get subtitles and you wanna watch anything foreign, go for it, dude.
Yeah, I
You
feel
can translate
like
it now
accessibility
live.
tools are where AI is really shining through, especially in education. You really need to get used to using them more, because they can be used for such, great things. That's where you guys need to talk to your professors and be like, hey, have you used AI? Do you have any videos? I want a transcript. Let me show you this AI tool that'll generate the transcript for you. Have your professor get their foot in the door, and they'll run with it.
I got two things to share there. It's like, so one, when I have videos, lecture videos in Canvas recorded, and they're auto-generated captions are pretty good, not perfect. But then you can download that transcript as a text file, and then with Conmigo, the tools that I was talking about, I can take my transcript, and I don't work off the script. I mean, I just kind of have an outline, and then I talk. Take that transcript, plug it in, and have it generate me 10 quiz questions about that video, about what I taught you in that video. Like, that's such a huge time saver. But also knowing that it's basing those questions on a transcript that was AI generated and could have made mistakes in what I said, right? So I have to go back and check every question and make sure it's accurate. There was another anecdote there that was useful.
I can't even get them to give me the YouTube set. I don't know how people are doing that. All mine would be like, we're gonna refer you to Comcast. It's crazy.
Once. Thanks. Anybody have any cool AI stuff that they generated? Like just purely AI-ish that you corrected and then?
I just remembered the other thing I was going to ask. Has anybody used Notebook LM? AI tool? So it's from Google. It's free currently. It is designed not to generate new content. It's not, it's generative, but not the same way chat is. But if you put in a document or a series of documents, PDFs or whatever, Word documents, and then it will give you an analysis of that document. It'll say, this is what these are about, here are the key points, you can ask it questions to go deeper into those details, blah, blah, blah. So it's a research tool. It's not a writing tool as much as a research tool. But then, what's really cool is on the third panel in the interface is it will generate a podcast, an audio podcast that will tell you all about what's in the documents. As if there were these two hosts, a man and a woman, who are saying, hey, so we're talking about like whatever the topic in all of those documents are. Yeah. It creates like a 5 to 10 minute podcast of them chatting back and forth. And so the idea is that a student can take, these papers or doing research, instead of reading all those, or anybody besides the student, get a really good analysis of it, and then just listen to two AIs talking about what's in the document. And the level of how it sounds, of their natural cadence, pauses, snickers, is all in there. You can hear it sounds like real people. It's a little the uncanny valley. It's not quite there, but it doesn't sound like a computer voice in the same way we're used to. And then that's right. It's like while they're talking, you can hit the button and ask them a question as if you're calling into the podcast. They will pause. Say, oh, hey, Don. Don's here. What's your question, Don? Oh, that's a great question. And then it'll shift. So it's not like a set script. You can interact with this thing live. I see that as a great learning tool. It's a great way students who have a hard time comprehending information.
Dead internet, baby.
That's like the holodeck. I didn't know that. That sounds super
Play with
advanced.
it. pop up a big document.
Is your VR
I
gear?
said Notebook LM.
Notebook LM.
Okay, I'm gonna have
Is
to
your
look that one.
VR
So if
gear?
there's tools like that available, then how far away are we from like AI instructors and stuff?
Yeah, right.
That's already
So,
a thing.
I have a lot.
Big old thing, yeah.
Bar is already here.
There's a lot of good articles by educators like why AI will not replace us.
We're coping over there online.
I mean, it also depends on the field. Like, I don't think anybody's worried about like the aviation teachers being replaced by AI, like or like mechanics. Like, at some point you're working on an actual machine, and someone has.
But
to
like, in theory, a lot of them are replaced by like YouTube videos, right?
But I mean, like, for the highest levels of education,
Like,
for middle stuff, sure, like for DIY stuff, for like early levels of education, maybe even up to like, the associate's degree, but like for higher levels of education, I mean, at some point things get really advanced.
Yeah, see, like my co-pilot won't let me do YouTube. I mean, I pretty much only use co-pilot.
Oh, so you can't scan the YouTube one?
No, I won't. 'Cause
Or if you like, ask it who
Copyright.
can. Ask it who
But the
can.
thing is, I'm pretty sure that's not a limitation of the AI. I'm pretty sure that's
Not much.
It's co-pilot.
a legal issue that they're preventing you.
Disability.
No, go back to say ask it who can. You'll review a different AI. Ability. Thanks for sharing.
And well, it still won't do it.
Yeah, but I think that's not a limitation of the technology. I think that's a limitation of like they're afraid of legal issues, and so they told their AI, don't.
Yeah.
Sure, there's another tool that will actually.
Yeah, you can download the YouTube video. Is there an AI that lets you upload
Isn't
the
that
video?
illegal?
So instead of,
I don't think it's illegal to download.
I understand, it's not.
What do you mean?
Download it to see it.
It's illegal to re-upload them. You claim them as your own.
even that's not necessarily.
Well, I mean, it's illegal, but people do it.
They can strike you and ask for it to whatever, yes, but
Plagiarism's plagiarism. It's just.
plagiarism.
It's just.
No, there's React channels all over YouTube.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like people. Claim.
It's not plagiarism, I'm reacting. I'm doing the news.
I was like, what is that? This guy talking.
What is that noise?
It was TED Talk.
Nice.
I turned it off.
Yeah, schools, tutor.
Anybody have any other points of the AI and education they wanted to bring up? Yeah, pretty good discussion.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
What's gonna be is gonna be.
I
you
thought,
know? There's no going
That
back.
made a good point, but I was thinking with how you can have like, your guidelines or coming your policy and your syllabus, and you don't really have to like go to the full extent of, all the expulsion stuff and the academic honesty policies and stuff.
Yeah, it's, we have to kind of, I mean, even beyond just, academic freedom, we kind of have to play it by ear to see how things go. I mean, the world's not going to change completely by the time you guys graduate, but maybe for the ones after you and the ones after them, that's the thing is. And something that you guys may not see as students is that education system moves kind of slowly. So we'll make changes, but we're going to be reactive.
It's really hard to stay on top of technology that changes so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we can only be reactive.
Yeah.
It's like the students are always going to be the ones bringing it in.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about, how, long range, we're gonna have to look at adding AI at some level to almost every course outline. To some sort of, we can't prescribe a policy there, but we use it in outlines, but that takes forever.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for the input. How about the students? Are you guys for AI or no? What's your, just a thumbs up?
There's a lot of AI fans in the room.
We got one to, Alex?
Anybody unambiguously for or unambiguously against? Everybody give us a sideways.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
And then, yeah, I guess, I mean, that's about it. We do have our club elections. That'll be a big topic coming up soon. If you're interested.
Yeah, we're holding our club elections sometime, but before the end of the semester. We're gonna figure out the method that we're gonna be holding the elections sometime in this coming week, I believe. So if you are interested in being an officer for next semester, just keep that in mind. Maybe start drafting a speech for the position you want. We bare minimum need the 3 that are up there on the board: president, club representative who attends the CAPE meetings, and a treasurer. Those are the ones that are required to us as a club, although we also currently have a secretary and social media manager as additional positions. So it's a great thing to put on your resume. So if you're interested, just keep that in mind, and we will keep the Discord updated and get more information to you guys in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, pretty much just doing kind of like this, just, come up here, chat, eat pizza. Very good.
Any final thoughts on the AI discussion? I suppose we can still have the room for 10 minutes.
Oh boy.
Anybody, is there some pizza left?
No, I got KO before I even got a slice.
Okay, wow. We usually have leftovers.
I only got like 2 mediums, I don't know.
I guess, if you're going into industry, remember to make a plan and find a niche you want to specialize in.
Yeah, that's
Gotta be niche.
that's some of that.
So kind of like
knowledge that
the T-shaped curve. Like you have a baseline knowledge across the stack, but then you're like you're specialized in like on one area.
Yeah, not full stack then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if I would. There's a lot of ideas in full stack devs that you should know, but I wouldn't recommend, like, personally, I wouldn't recommend going right into full stack dev because it feels kind of concentrated. But if you really like web development and that's like your interest, then go for it, of course. But if you're not that interested, I wouldn't try to specialize in it.
Not worth it? I was talking to some IT guy, and he's like, yeah, I hope you're not learning like that old stuff, C++ or whatever.
I mean, C++
And something fresh, like web, was one of these, say, Python, JavaScript.
I thought Rust was all the
I
business.
mean,
I'm like, wow.
I mean, the thing is, the programming languages.
They're compilers.
There's going to be new programming languages constantly, but the actual baseline stuff that you're learning in the language, that stuff hasn't changed since programming languages were first invented. If statements have always been if statements, loops have always been loops, variables have always been variables, functions have always been functions. And like that, so like we choose to teach in C++ because it's a great language for learning pointers, and pointers are a huge topic. But like the stuff that we're teaching in C++ is language universal. It doesn't matter where you plan to go or what language you plan to use, you can use it. So, but like, yeah, there's always going to be another new